The Royal Height of Music podcast is brought to you by the Black Lives Matter World Theme Song Anthem. Available at all of the major digital outlets. Or you can also go to the website binrorecords.com and download a free spoken word version of the Black Lives Matter World Theme Song Anthem. Thank you, and now, to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Royal Height, and I'm with the Royal Height of Music. And we are taking our music to the world this morning. And my honored guest this morning is none other than the renowned Sister Nia 2X, who I've had the pleasure of working with on several different occasions. She's energetic, she's very authoritative, she's a leader, and she's doing a lot as an activist and a person with a lot of hands-on experience in the DC community as an activist and a leader. And I'll tell you, she's just an outstanding lady, but I'm not trying to take her thunder. I'm happy to have her here this morning, and our purpose is to talk with her and let her tell you personally just some of the things that she's involved in. Sister Nia 2X, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me and having me on your platform. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Now, to start with, I usually ask my guests just to give us just a little history of yourself, where you're from, some of the things you've been through, and how you wound up here. What do you
Well,
do?
again, I want to thank you because I don't take invitations lightly. And I want to congratulate you before I talk about me for all of what you constantly contribute to the community with your music, with your energy. And as Brother Yahuru always says, I'm just a reflection of you.
Oh,
So, I really admire you. I'm from Washington, D.C. I grew up in River Terrace. That's northeast over there by the Chateau. That
mm-hmm.
used to be the Jumbo food store. I come out of Eastern High School. And I've been an activist a little bit before I got out of Eastern High School. I didn't really know what I was doing, but the energy from the 1960s was a major influence on my life. To see Black men and Black women respect each other as brothers, sisters. And it was such an influence through the Angela Davis situation, as well as the turbulent 60s, to me, was the best decade, at least the 1960s for Black people. And as a young adolescent, I was influenced. I was just influenced by the movement from that day to today. And it's been something that I continue to learn as I grow and strive to contribute toward the complete freedom and liberation of our people and of humanity, but certainly of our people first and foremost.
All right. Now, I'll tell you, like I said, I had the pleasure of being involved with you on a couple of different levels. Uh, Tell us about some of the organizations and groups that you are currently involved in or have been involved in, because I think that would shed a little light to the public in terms of what you're really all about. If some of the organization and groups that you're intimately involved in.
Well, thank you. One of the main things, if people see anything in me, it's because I've had great and continue to have great teachers. And these teachers have come after me graduating out of Eastern. I've had, you know, school teachers, they were great. But the greatest teachers that I have had and still continue to learn from are people like Sister Io Handy
Oh,
Kendi.
yes.
Io Handy Kendi and her family, her late great mother,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and her whole family is just talented. They have contributed so much. Miss Doris A.M. Thomas, I had to think of her mother's name,
Hmm.
but Io was one of my first major influences here in DC when I really, really began to learn academically the role of being an activist. At the time, Io Handy had a newspaper called Positive Energy. And with this newspaper, she was publishing and doing things that just open up a road for me to continue to learn from her and many, many others. One of my major other influences, before I talk about me, I have to give credit to those that have shaped and continue to shape me. And another brother is John Ray of the Majestic Eagles.
Oh yeah.
John Ray is powerful. When he had that organization here in DC, his motto was God first, family second, and business third. So teachers like them, the late great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, helping me to understand the dynamics of how to handle racism, white supremacy. I didn't know how to handle it. I recognized that it was obviously here, but I could not figure out a way of the why, the how, the who, and until the teachings from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who, of course, her mentor or her predecessor, rather, is Brother Neely Fuller Jr. And then the great thing about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's work is that it's continuing as we
Hmm.
speak under the leadership of Sister Sabrina Johnson. She, along with Brother Danny Queen, are continuing the work that the sister, the Queen, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, began with the Cress Welsing Institute. So it's great leaders like those and many, many, many others, but just to name a few who have me on the trail that I'm on now, seeking with every life breath to put God's justice in our reality. So,
Well,
so that's really where I am. Anything you see positive in me as an activist, it's because of my great teachers. Some have gone and many are still here as we all continue to swell the ranks to do the great work that we are striving to achieve and will achieve. We will be able to bring God's justice here on this planet.
all right.
Maybe
Well,
we won't be here, maybe we will.
Well, I'll tell you, it's apparent already that you have great history. You've already done a lot of things, but uh, right now, just give us a brief summary of what you're doing. One of the organizations that I really admire you working with is the National Action Network. I know you're intimately involved with them also. You were steeped in things to do about a month or so ago when they had the big march in DC. And just tell us a little bit about your affiliation with that organization and what you guys do, if you can.
Brother, I'm so honored. I describe myself as the humble servant president of the Greater DC chapter of the National Action Network. And of course, this great organization is founded by our great brother, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. And to me, he's the Honorable Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. And he founded the organization in 1991 in New York as a response to the lack of justice in the North. Most of the marches at that time were generally held in the South with Dr. King and
Mhm.
Brother Malcolm. Of course, we've had great movements in New York under the leadership of the Honorable Mosiah Garvey, and of course the Nation of Islam, when Malcolm would stand on the soapbox with many others, along with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. But when it comes to the civil rights movement, um, Reverend Sharpton was in the movement at the age of 14. He was mostly mentored by Reverend Jesse Jackson. I assume Jesse Jackson saw the talent of Reverend Sharpton. In fact, Reverend Sharpton has been preaching since the age of 4. He was only 4 years old. They had to stand him up. They called him, I believe it's called the little boy preacher. He was preaching at that early age. And I met Reverend Sharpton around 19, no. I met Reverend Sharpton around 2005, 2004, if I remember right this morning. But Royal, one day, I looked around DC and I was like, you know what? Ain't nobody black in this city but me. That's how naive. I was pretty naive, and I really believed it. It's not that the leaders and the teachers didn't have the juice, but I was looking for, I believe, more militancy, something bold. And I heard about a black man in New York City who had the audacity to take red paint and paint doors in New York City to where people had crack houses or so-called crack dealers. And that was for the police to see. And if you saw a big red cross on that door, then the police would know that crack activity was taking place there. That impressed me. I said, who is this bold black man? I got on a Greyhound bus and went to New York to see who this great person was to have those kind of guts. And that's when I met Reverend Sharpton. I didn't really meet him, but I saw him with my naked eyes for the first time in front of a store called Freddy's. He was out there protesting, and there were followers, and he was protesting. I believe Freddie wasn't hiring enough blacks. It was something insulting to the black community. I remember the look he gave me, like, who the H is this? Because he was skeptical. You know, he hadn't seen me before, and I always make sure I get to the front when I go places. I'm not a middle seat person, certainly not the rear.
Get up in the front.
I want to get up front.
I
want to see you and know you, and hopefully you see me. But anyway, the following week, Freddy's burned down the following Saturday, and the papers had it wrong because I was there with him the previous Saturday. They had inflated the story and tried to really blame it on him and the movement, and that was a lie. And I continued to go to New York, and I did meet him, and he invited me on his radio show. I was sliced. I hadn't been on nobody's radio show, and I had not expected to be on Reverend Sharpton's radio show in New York. So the rest, years after years, I was voted in as his president November 18th, 2014, here in DC. And we're going on 6 years in November. And it's been an honor to serve. And what makes our chapter, the Greater DC chapter, effective is the members. It's not me, it's the membership, and especially the committee chairmen and the committee chairwomen. So it's a team effort. Without them, it's nothing. It's all a team to help reflect the great work that the Honorable Reverend Al Sharpton is doing. So it's a gain of us.
I'll tell you what, I'm thoroughly impressed because I've had the pleasure of associating with your organization. I've attended some of the meetings and I've seen your work in action. And I just have to tip my hat to the lady who's at the top of the hill, making sure that things are happening. The March on DC recently, I know you were so involved, and the reward of just knowing that everything went well, it was successful, and a major part. Hats off to you again for all that you did to make that a successful event here in DC. I know you had to be proud to see your team come through the way it did. I was right around there. I was close by. But
Yes, indeed. Yes,
I,
indeed.
I would like to ask you also now, this program, the Royal Height of Music, music is one of the things that I'm involved in, and I know you love music.
Love it.
I know you do.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed.
you've used even some of the songs that I have been a part of on your radio or internet radio broadcast. I've even had the pleasure of being interviewed by you on your podcast. And I want you to kind of expound a little bit about the importance of music because music is an important force in everything, and every great cause deserves good music to uplift the people, unite the people, and kind of bring them together. So, from your perspective, tell me, what do you think about that?
Well, brother, in the lane of music, I have another mentor, and his name is Royal Height. You may know him. He is the music ambassador. And I didn't know that until I interviewed you and was able to understand your philosophy and your knowledge of music because it is the great influencer. We know today that music is being used in a negative way by the mainstream, and it shows the power. But how they got or arrived to that negative concept in the 1960s, as you know, we used music. Music was used during the civil rights movement. They were
Mhm.
clapping and ain't gonna be no slave, but I'll be in
Burn in
my
my
grave.
grave.
You
That's right.
know, uh, that was the civil rights movement, and music was the influencer to people like myself. When I heard James Brown say it loud, I'm
Mhm.
black and I'm proud. That I wore it as a badge of honor. The music was my DNA. The music was my book. I was listening to the OJs, even when they got down with backstabbers. I was listening. They were
Mhm.
telling us and teaching us. So music is, as you know, my great teacher, it's the influencer. And because it is being so misused today negatively, please know that our good friend, Bob Law, who used to be on Night Talk on
Mhm.
WOL radio, Bob Law is in New York City, and he has a very progressive movement at
Mhm.
5 different major outlets
Mhm.
that we all go to. He's been there along with Sister Dr. Ife Williams.
Mhm.
They are really completing the work the late great Dr. C. Dolores Tucker started when the feud became between the rappers, when the rappers allowed the money to come to them rather than listen to the elders who were telling them they were being used, and that your rap was really hurting generations of young people. The rap became gangster rap. We love rap, but when the gangster rap, when the profanity
Mhm.
dominated the rap, the shooting, the killing, the murdering, it's influencing
Disrespect, all that stuff. Mhm.
all of that stuff. So Bob Law today has a movement. He went to the major sponsors of these radio stations. One was McDonald's. He sat
Mhm.
down with J.C. Penney's at the time. I believe they're out of business. Adidas. He sat down with two more.
Mhm.
I can't think of them at the moment, but this movement, Bob Law is continuing to get the sponsorship to the radio stations to stop sponsoring the negative movement. But a lot of people don't know that Bob Law, along with Dr. Ife Williams, our sister here in DC,
That's
head of
right.
the National Congress of Black Women, are crusading to, to stop the sponsorship. In other words, we need to boycott. We need to boycott what they said because they did sit down with the executives of these major corporations who basically are ignoring them because we, the masses, are not aware that the movement has been going on about 3 or 4 years now. So get
Mhm.
in touch online with Brother Bob Law, a icon to the Black community coming out of Harlem. And he, and along with Sister Dr. Ife Williams at 202 for Dr. Ife, she can explain it, 678-6788, to inquire about the movement to boycott corporations that have ignored our request
Mhm.
to stop having these corporations pay millions and billions to the filth that your children and our children and the world is listening to every day.
Every day. Well, look, uh, I hate to kind of draw it to an end only
Yes, sir.
because we're running out of time. But if you agree, if you're agreeable, I would like to, in advance, invite you back again and be with me to spend some time to share some more of all that wisdom and knowledge that you've taken in. But before we leave, I like to ask you just one final quick question, maybe a 1 minute answer for the youth. What would you share with the youth of today when it comes to uh, activism and how they can use, because a lot of kids love rap, how they can use what they have learned and are learning in a positive way? What would be your suggestion to them?
Well, first and foremost, if you want to be successful at any endeavor in life, you have to begin a relationship with God. And you do that through prayer. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go somewhere in a building. No, you do it with God and you. You have to pray to God if you want to be successful.
Hmm.
So that would be the beginning. I love rap too. And you are talented people. And you know right from wrong. You know when you say a curse word, you're not going to say it in front of certain people. You know right from wrong. So write your lyrics in the right way and write your lyrics with a God conscience that God is there giving you the power and the talent to put it from pen to paper. So make it strong, make it positive, get your point out, and don't forget to have fun.
All right now, all right. Well, again, Sister Nia 2X, I want to personally thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing your precious time with us. And again, that's an open invitation to come back
Thank
and
you.
be a part of our broadcast here on the Royal Height of Music, where our goal is that we plan on continue to take our music to the world. And for all of you out there in podcast land, as you look at this, we want you to know that you too can be a part of this. We are seeking sponsorship. You can become a sponsor. You can also advertise your products, services, or your organization. You can do that with us. And finally, you can also become an affiliate. Affiliates are people who partner with us. We help you, you help us, and we both benefit. So again, please contact us back. Sister Nia 2X, finally, before we leave, if you have if you have a number that you can be reached at, we're going to put that on our screen. But right now, just if you will, just tell us what number you can be reached at, and we will be posting also your other contact information on this video.
Thank you, brother. For the Greater DC chapter, please call Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., 202 819 7134. We're here to help you, and thank you so much, Brother Royal Height, and all the work you're doing.
All All right. Thank you again, Sister Nia 2X. We're signing off. And again, this is Royal Height.